Hi, and welcome to our first Extension Eats Facebook Live. I'm Beth Peralta, a dietitian who works with the University of Illinois Extension's Illinois Nutrition Education programs, and we're here today at the Research Home at the Family Resiliency Center, which is located on the campus of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in the College of Agricultural, Consumer, and Environmental Sciences. We're in the kitchen at Doris Kelly Christopher Hall, and a great fact that I just learned this week is that Doris Kelly Christopher actually worked for Extension as one of her very first jobs in DuPage County, located in northern Illinois. So today we're going to talk about breakfast. We've got 3 fantastic breakfast recipes to share with you, all about ways to make your mornings run smoother and easier, so that way you're running out the door with a great breakfast in your stomach and ready to start your day. Breakfast can be a great way to include more vegetables in your daily intake, and also can help with enhancing your concentration and your energy throughout your whole day. So we're going to get started with our very first recipe, but before we do, I'm going to share with you the names of the recipes we're making today, and then make a comment if you want about the recipe that you're most interested in trying at home. Our first recipe will be avocado tomato toast, and then we'll be going to a fruit and yogurt breakfast smoothie, and our last recipe will be a breakfast casserole. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our avocado tomato toast. We've got our station ready right here. You start this recipe out with 2 slices of whole wheat bread, and you can use a toaster oven or a broiler to melt 2 slices of reduced fat cheddar cheese to get it toasted up and nice and warm. The next thing we're going to do is take an avocado, and we're going to cut it. Now I want to share with you the safest way to cut an avocado is holding it down on the cutting board surface, and you're going to want to keep your hand, you don't want to hold it like this where your hand is going to be close to where the knife is going to go. You want to hold it like this and make sure that you're slicing from stem to stem. And as you can see, I pre-sliced this one, so it just fell apart easily. Do not expect that to happen at home. But then you're going to go ahead and twist it so that the 2 halves split apart easily. You can tell that an avocado is ripe by taking it when you're purchasing it and kind of giving it a gentle squeeze with the palm of your hand. You can also tell by if there's a stem intact at the top. You can take that stem off, and if it's light green like this, it's a great ripe avocado to try. If the avocado is kind of yellowish or brown at the stem area, it's going to be a little unripe, but it should ripen up within a couple days. So back to our avocado tomato toast recipe. We're going to take the pit out by just removing it. You can scoop it out with either a spoon or a fork. Sometimes it takes a little bit around the sides. I will say there you go. So you can put it down there, and you're going to go ahead and discard the pit, and then take the avocado flesh out and put it in the bowl. And since it's a tomato avocado toast, we are going to be mixing the 2 together. Okay, so I know that we had a question before we went live all about if you could eat an avocado if there were some brown pieces on the inside, like brown sections on the inside. And that just means usually it's a bruise. It's still safe to eat. And you just would want to avoid eating it if there was any damage on the skin, like any cuts or open spots on the skin. Then you would probably want to discard it and try to get another avocado instead. Okay, so there we go. So we got all the avocado pieces out, and we're going to go ahead and add our Roma tomatoes. So we have 1 Roma tomato diced pre-broadcast, and we're going to go ahead and put that in there with the avocado, and they're going to go ahead and mash. Now you can use a fork for this. If you have a potato masher, that could also work as well. And we didn't get ours out beforehand, but I'm going to go ahead in the drawer and just pull out our masher, because it'll make it a little bit easier, a little bit cleaner on camera. So we're going to mix these 2 together. Okay, and of course you can use just avocado all by itself. You can use different types of tomatoes. So if you have just regular tomatoes on the vine, or even like some cherry tomatoes, you could chop those up and add them in here as well. I've also seen now where some people are, instead of just doing all avocado, they might be including some peas with there too. So whatever you have at home can really make your breakfast great. So this is all kind of mixed together. It's nice and bright and colorful, which can be great. I know we've had a lot of cloudy, rainy, snowy days here in Illinois, so having a nice bright breakfast can be a good way to start the day. So we're going to put our first piece of toast here. Now this recipe serves two, so you can make it for yourself and then share it with a family member, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, whoever you would like to share your breakfast with that morning. And then we're going to put it on here. And the very last bit is we're going to sprinkle just a little bit of salt and pepper on top. If you need to follow a low sodium diet, or you're choosing to follow a low sodium diet for health reasons or any other reasons, you can eliminate the salt from the recipe, and then also go ahead and look for lower sodium breads or cheeses. So we're just going to sprinkle some of this on top. If you have a grinder at home for the spices, you can use that too. So we've got our avocado tomato toast all ready to go, and we're going to put it over here, transfer it to, this is going to be our serving spot later where we're going to try out the recipes. All right, we're going to switch to our second recipe, but before we do, I want to check and see if we have any questions from our viewers on Facebook. Make sure I covered all of our questions that we had before the broadcast. Oh, what do you do if the avocado is not ripe? So let's say you do go to the store and all they have is unripe avocados, but you still want to buy some to try some later in the week. I would recommend putting it in a brown paper bag, so just like this, and checking it probably once or twice a day, just until you achieve the desired ripeness, and that should help ripen it up a little bit quicker at home. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to our second recipe, and we're going to be making our fruit and yogurt breakfast smoothie. Yes? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and make our fruit and yogurt breakfast smoothie. We are going to be using some specific recipes here today, specific fruits here today, but of course you can use different fruits that you might have at home. So we've got one ripe banana. So we've already peeled and sliced that. We're going to put it into the blender cup. And then we've got 1 cup of orange juice. You could use milk instead, or other types of milk substitutes that you might like if you're trying to get more protein in your diet. And then we're going to add some yogurt. This is a plain Greek yogurt, which has a little bit more protein than your standard yogurt, and it's also going to add some calcium to your breakfast. Okay, the last 2 ingredients are going to be strawberries. So we have about half a cup to a cup of strawberries, and we have about half a cup to a cup of strawberries that we're going to be putting in here. And then our last ingredient, I realize it's still in the freezer, so we're going to go ahead and grab our ice. Okay, we have a half a cup of ice cubes. Now one thing that you could do at home instead is use frozen fruit as one of your fruit choices, and that would be a great way to give a little bit more vitamins, minerals, fiber as well. I'm going to screw on the top of the blender cup. This makes 24 ounces, so about 3 8-ounce servings. And I want to warn everyone, we are going to turn on the blender, which gets a little loud, and so if you do have your speakers at full volume, please decrease before we get this started. Okay. Okay, so hold on, we're going to check some things off with the seal. Sorry about that, everybody. So as I get that pushed right back down, we'll get started. I know there were questions about what if you don't have fresh strawberries? What should you use instead? And you could use frozen strawberries. I personally like frozen blueberries a lot for smoothies because they blend up really easily. Okay, looks like we got the seal fixed. And all right, we're gonna for yourself, you can just decrease some of the ingredients throughout and make just a smaller version. So we're going to go ahead and pour this into our 2 cups that we have and put it back into our serving area. Okay, if there are any questions about this recipe or the avocado tomato toast, please go ahead and type them in and we can answer them live. Okay, what other fruit could you use is a great question that we had before the live broadcast today. And like I mentioned, you could use blueberries instead of strawberries, really going by whatever is available by season. So right now in the winter months, if there's not as much fruit that you enjoy available fresh, you can use frozen. You can also add other things to the recipe as well. For example, you could add a green leafy vegetable like spinach or kale to bump up some of that nutrition. I do find that spinach tastes the most neutral to me when it's added. It doesn't add a whole lot of flavor to the smoothie. It just adds some of that extra nutrition. And then you could also add things like a scoop of peanut butter or other kinds of nut butters to bump up the protein, or a little bit of avocado. If you had some left over from another recipe at breakfast time, you could add that and it makes the smoothie just a little bit more creamy. Okay, so we've got our smoothies available right here at the tasting counter. And we're going to go ahead and switch back to our final recipe, which is going to be our egg casserole. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. So with the egg casserole, we've got quite a few ingredients here on the stove top that we're going to be making. And we're going to go ahead and just explain them to you right now. So we've got about 10 slices of whole wheat bread, which has been cubed into this. We're going to go ahead and start adding things to this pan. So we're going to start layering the bread down at the bottom. And on top of that, we're going to add a couple other ingredients. One would be half a pound of turkey sausage that's already been cooked. And you can use other types of sausage as well. I tend to like turkey sausage or chicken sausage, just a little bit lower in fat. And so we're going to put that on top. Okay. And this is a great recipe. It does take a bit of time to bake, but you can make it ahead. You can leave it in the fridge to kind of soak up some of the liquid in the bread. We ended up making one this morning without soaking it, without storing it ahead of time, and it worked out fine. But you can always make it ahead the night before. If you have about an hour in the morning for it to bake while you and your family are getting ready, then you can let it cook that way. Or you can make it on the weekend and then use it for breakfast throughout the week just by reheating it in the microwave. So on top of the bread and sausage mixture, we're going to be adding some cheese. So we've got a half a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. You can also use Swiss, but mozzarella is a little bit easier to find at the store. And we've got a half a cup of cheddar cheese. Okay, and then the last ingredient is going to be our vegetables. So we've got mushrooms. They are canned mushrooms. You could use fresh vegetables as well. Just would recommend you cook them ahead of time so that way it doesn't increase the baking time in the oven. So we're going to go ahead and put these on top. So good ingredients that would work from a vegetable perspective. If you don't have or you don't like mushrooms, you could use other canned vegetables like carrots or corn, or you could use fresh vegetables like fresh mushrooms, fresh zucchini sliced, or green peppers, red peppers, things like that. The next ingredient is going to be our eggs and our milk. And so we've got 6 eggs, which we've already cracked, that I'm beating with the wire whisk. And then we're going to pour 2 cups of non-fat milk and stir that all together. Okay. All right, so then you're going to go ahead and take this milk and egg mixture and just cover it in the pan. Now then you would want to go ahead and cover it with foil and put it in the refrigerator overnight for about 8 hours or more, and you could bake it that morning, or like I said, you could cover it with foil and bake it in the oven. So the recipe that we made this morning was, the recipe calls for about 45 to 60 minutes. It did take a little bit longer, so you want to be sure to pay attention to the recipe consistency and look to make sure that the center of the casserole is cooked all the way throughout, so there's not raw eggs in the casserole as well. So it ended up taking us about an extra 10 to 15 minutes, and then we did take the foil off at the end to go ahead and show some of the more brown, so that it would brown some of the cheese and some of the bread, which kind of just adds a little bit of extra texture and flavor to the recipe. Okay, so I'm going to get these out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in here in the oven. And so like I said, you would cover it with foil, put it in the oven, check it at about 45 minutes, and then again at 60 minutes. We did go ahead and make one ahead of time, and for food safety purposes, we've been storing it in the refrigerator because it's still a little bit warm from this morning, but we didn't want to leave it out. When you make something like a casserole or basically anything that is going to be leftovers that you need to put in the refrigerator, you want to put that in the refrigerator pretty quickly so that way it cools down to an acceptable temperature to reduce the risk of foodborne illness. Okay, so here is our completed casserole from earlier today. So it's got a nice look, it's got a nice texture, nice flavor, and we're going to go ahead and get a serving of this. This does make about 12 servings, so it's great for a family, or if you're having some sort of breakfast or brunch get together. Or like I said, you can also make it in advance and then eat it throughout the week for breakfast. Say leftovers, you want to make sure to eat them within 3 to 4 days. And if you do live in a smaller household and this would be too much casserole for you, let's say you could also half the ingredients and make it in about an 8x8 pan, and that would make just a smaller version of the same recipe. So we're going to go ahead and move this casserole over to the serving station. Okay, I know that there was a question about frozen vegetables before the live broadcast. What do you do with frozen vegetables? So let's say you don't have fresh vegetables or you don't have canned vegetables. Can you use frozen vegetables in this recipe instead? And the answer is absolutely. You just want to make sure to cook them in advance because it would just really significantly increase the cooking time, since you'd have to be bringing up a frozen temperature to the hot enough temperature to eat. So, all right, so we've got all 3 of our recipes ready to go and ready to taste. So we want to know which recipe would you like to try at home. We've got our avocado tomato toast, our fruit and yogurt smoothie, or we've got our breakfast casserole. And I think we might have someone live in the kitchen who would like to come and try some of our fantastic recipes. So we've got Samantha Kuhn, our new Director of Communications and Extension. She was a very willing, hopefully, participant to come and try things today.
There's never any trouble convincing me to taste test food. So thanks for having me.
Of course. So you can have your pick, but we can each try a smoothie today.
Let's do.
So let's do a cheers.
Cheers to good food. Oh, there's something about a fresh strawberry that always tastes like spring to me. So.
Yes. And it's warming up outside, so we are going to get to spring eventually.
Agreed.
And I like the addition of the orange juice. It adds
it's
really nice
bright
flavor. So let's get this so we don't have any. So yeah, you can go
no
right
food
ahead.
disasters, please.
No food disasters. Go ahead and take a taste. Sure.
All right, I'll start with the toast.
I'm going to start with the casserole.
So do you eat a lot of avocado toast? It's very popular right now.
It is
something
very
you guys eat at
popular.
home?
I'd say we eat a lot of avocados at home.
Okay.
My kids and I all like avocados, and we all like guacamole, so we do try to include it sometimes. But unfortunately, we don't eat breakfast a lot together at home because the mornings are busy. So I'm often taking breakfast on the go, and they have breakfast at school.
Well, that is excellent.
Casserole's really good too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Avocado toast has always been something that you see it at restaurants, but you don't make it at home very much. And we started doing it a couple of weeks ago at my house, and my daughter, who's 5, loves it. So it's something that's been in our rotation a little bit more regularly.
Yeah, and it's super easy to make. It's fairly inexpensive
Right.
when you make it at home because when you go out to eat, it can be a little costly. But making it at home, I think the avocado, you can usually find one for under $1. It's a great recipe to try. So yeah, we want to hear from you as well. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We want to comment with your favorite recipe that we tested. And for more information, you can visit our website at go.illinois.edu/eatmovesafe for more recipes. Follow both Illinois Nutrition Education Programs and University of Illinois Extension on Facebook, or you can contact your local extension office. And if you do happen to try a recipe at home, we'd love to see a picture. Just go ahead and tag us with the hashtag #ExtensionEats. Thanks everyone for your time today. We hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.